Good morning, students. Welcome to Zoology webinars for Senior Inter. Students, till now, we have learned about various systems in our body, isn't it? We discussed about digestive, circulatory, excretory, endocrinology, and also about the reproductive systems, isn't it? Now, if we observe all these systems, each and every system is very, very unique in its design. That is about the structure as well as the functional aspect. Now, all these systems, even though they are unique, they coordinate among themselves and give us a complete organism, isn't it? Especially we are dealing with human body and its systems. Now, let us learn or explore more complex but fantastic system in our body. Okay, so today we have with us Prashanti ma'am from Chigurumamadi from Karimnagar district to give us enlighten us with the complex and fascinating system. That is nothing but what? Yes, neural control and coordination. It is all about our brain. Let us learn that. Welcome, madam. Good morning, madam.
Yeah, thank you, madam. Good morning, madam.
Yeah, please take over the session.
Okay, madam. Good morning, my dear students. Today, I am before you all to present the topic neural control and coordination. In that, we shall go with a very interesting topic, brain, the ultimate biocomputer. Children, right from birth, we are able to recognize our mother. Who said that she's our mother, he's our father? No one has said. It is our brain which stores the information of whatever we see, we learn from the environment. The ability to store the information in the brain is called memory. There are two types of memory. They are iconic memory, echoic memory. Iconic memory means the things we learn by listening is called iconic memory. So it takes nearly 2 minutes to remember or store the information in the brain. Whereas echoic memory means that is by seeing we store the information. That is within 1 minute we store the information. So we remember the information orally, that is 10%, visually 35%, and oral and visual by 65%. Means children, we are able to learn the information by listening and seeing to the things. Yes, I think many of y'all are good at car driving. Children, you have to know the techniques of gear, steering, accelerator, etc. That is to drive in the rush roads, to drive in the hilly or slope areas, etc. So everything needs a coordination of our brain and our hands. So that is, there is coordination do exist. Then what happens if the coordination is lost? Yes, it leads to a drastic accident. So children, there should be control and coordination of our brain with our motor activities. Yes, we store the information that is called as memory. Till now, we have completed nearly, that is 300 hours of webinar sessions, isn't it, children? Then how many can you remember the topics of all what the teachers have taught? Yes, many say that, yes, we are listened to it by, that is a short-term memory. Yes, but many also complain that we are not able to remember them, madam. So that is, you are feeling afraid of remembering the things. Do you remember the movies, stories, children? Yes, we remember. Why? Because we do it wholeheartedly. So whatever the things we do, children, we have to do it wholeheartedly. Even while learning, we have to listen to the topics, what the teachers have taught, and also we have to observe or visualize all the YouTube, the webinars, whatever it is, what we have taught, and also whatever are in the textbook. So that is For the perfect memory of the things, we have to have a repeated practice and rehearsals. Then definitely we will be able to remember and go through the examinations very easily and without any stress. Yes. Homeostasis refers to the ability of an organism to maintain a state of internal balance and physical well being even in advanced conditions. Homeostasis is to be maintained. For example, what is our body temperature, children? Yes, it is 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. So, even in the extreme summer or even when we are shivering in the extreme cold, homeostasis is maintained. Not only the temperature, when you take the glucose level in our body, water level in our body, calcium level in our body, even when you take our nervous system, helps keeping homeostasis in breathing pattern. It ensures by breathing whether body is getting enough oxygen or not. Everything is coordinated. Yes, what is coordination? The ability to use the different parts of the body together smoothly and efficiently is called as a coordination. So coordination do exist for the functioning of the smooth organs and organ systems in our body. When we do any physical exercise, like might be any work or any running, etc., the energy demand will be increased. This is to maintain increased muscular activity. In any physical exercise, our respiration rate increases and also it increases the heartbeat. Then, when we stop doing the physical exercise, the activities of nerves, lungs, heart, and kidneys return to the normal. Thus, the function of muscles, lungs, heart, blood vessels, kidneys are coordinated while performing any physical exercise. So, there is a coordination between our work and also all the organ systems, isn't it, children? Yes. In our body, neural system and endocrine system jointly coordinate and integrate all the activities of the organs so that they function in a synchronized manner. Children, you have learned about the nervous system right from your 6th, 7th classes, isn't it, children? Nervous system is a network of system. Organs, nerves and neurons control and coordinate all the body activities with the help of electrical impulses in response to both external and internal stimuli. Nervous system comprises of peripheral nervous system, central nervous system. Peripheral nervous system refers to the parts of nervous system outside the brain and spinal cord. That is, it comprises of autonomic nervous system, somatic nervous system, visceral nervous system. Autonomic is further again classified into sympathetic, parasympathetic, enteric nervous system. Children, we will be learning about the peripheral nervous system in the next session. Let's learn about the central nervous system right now. Central nervous system. Central nervous system, that is, it comprises of brain and spinal cord. So here, children, this is the central nervous system comprising of the brain and the spinal cord. Human beings have a nature of thinking and also we fight with our own intelligence, isn't it, children? That is, we are having an intelligent brain. There is no question of forgetting the things. Yes, what is the weight of the brain? The brain is nearly 3 pounds. It controls all the functions of our body. It interprets information from the outside world. It is also gaining intelligence, creativity, emotions, memory. It receives information through all our 5 senses. It controls our thoughts, memory, and speech movement. So, by this, we can say ours is an intelligent brain. See, children, this is the real brain of the human being. Yes, we have different emotions. See, children, the picture. These are the faces during the different emotions, like might be happy, sad, fear, anger, surprise, disgust. When we are afraid or hungry, or when we are angry, what we do, children? Heartbeat increase. Yes, even our breathing rate also will get faster. If any thief enters into our house suddenly, what we do? Our heartbeat gets fasten, isn't it, children? When we are sad, what will happen? We get tears in our eyes. When we are happy, how will be our feelings? Yes, our voice will get really, it sounds more excited, isn't it, children? Then from where do we get these emotions, these feelings? Is it from the heart or is it from the brain? Yes, right, students? All the feelings, all the thoughts, everything comes from our brain, not from the heart. Then, where is our brain located? Brain lies in the cranial cavity. It occupies the more skull space. When you see the weight of the brain's weight, it is nearly 1 kilogram. When you take it in male, it is 1,380 grams. When you take in female, it is 1,250 grams. So when you see that is in the humans, the male brain, it is slightly heavier than that of the female. Just now you have seen, children. So by that, we cannot say that male are more intelligent than that of the female. Every person is unique and the intelligence do vary. Then what is present in the brain? Yes, brain is composed of neurons, which is a fundamental unit of the nervous system and also the brain. And many research studies have indicated that brain do contain neurons. That is, nearly it varies between 86 billion to 100 billion neurons are being present in the human being right from their birth. Yes. What are the brain cells called as? They are called as neurons. Nearly, that is, by the time you are born, you are having at least 100 billion neurons. When you see the embryo development in the mother's womb, that is, by 9 weeks, the fetal stage begins. By 12 weeks, sex organs differentiate. By 16 weeks, fingers and toes develop. By 20 weeks, hearing begins. By 24 weeks, lungs begin to develop. Yes, children, by 28 weeks, brain grows rapidly. And 32 weeks, bones develop. 36 weeks, muscles fully develop. And by 40th week, full term development is being done and the baby comes to the outside world. And when you see, children, that is when the embryo is being developing inside the mother, first the nervous system develops in the embryo from the ectoderm. Just see, children, in this picture, in the 3 to 4 week embryo, here 3 primary brain vesicles are seen. Just see, children, these are the swellings. So here it has been classified as prosencephalon, mesencephalon and rhombencephalon. So in this way, 3 swellings are being seen in the 3 to 4 week embryo. Yes, by the 5-week embryo, this further swells and forms that is 5 secondary brain vessels. So just see, children, now it is being divided from 3 to 5. So here the forebrain again differentiates to telencephalon and diencephalon. Telencephalon will differentiate to cerebrum and diencephalon divides to thalamus, hypothalamus and epithalamus. And when you take the middle part, mesencephalon differentiates to midbrain, whereas the rhombencephalon further differentiates to metencephalon and myelencephalon, which forms pons cerebellum and medulla oblongata. So the embryonic fetal development, when you see by the 4th month of the baby in the mother's womb, cerebrum, medulla, cerebellum, all are completely separated. Next, when you take by 6th month, fissures divides the 2 cerebral hemispheres. And by birth, the child's brain contains nearly 100 billion neurons. So here this is the brain children of the human being, that is by that is pre-birth, and this is the newborn baby born brain, and this is the toddler, and this is the teenage brain. And children, this is the brain. If it is not been properly taken care, there will be degeneration of the neurons. And this is the adult brain, and this is the old age brain children. So we should always take care of our brain. Then blood will be supplying continuously to the brain. Yes, there are two sources, children. There are two pair of arteries which are supplying blood to the brain. Yes, they are carotid artery and vertebral artery. So carotid artery here, children, that is present in the neck region. This will be carrying blood to the brain. Next, vertebral artery that is present, that is near the spine region, also carries blood to the brain. So when you take, the brain receives 15% of our cardiac output. What is cardiac output, children? You have learned in the circulation chapter. That is the flow of blood from the ventricles, that is per minute, is called cardiac output per minute. So the cardiac output is 5 liters. So from that 15% the brain receives. So it is really amazing now, children. In that, the cerebral blood flow is 750 ml per minute. So our brain requires constant blood supply. Our brain do not have a capacity to store oxygen. So there should be continuous supply of the blood. And when you see, there are two types, that is internal carotid system and vertebral basilar system. Internal carotid system, just see children, this is the internal carotid system. 80% of the brain's blood supply is internal carotid system. It is also called as anterior circulation. When you take here, this is the vertebral basilar system, and here this is 20% of the brain's blood supply, and it is called as a posterior circulation. And when you see cranial meninges, cranium, that is the brain, is being protected, are covered by 3 membranes. So these membranes, children, are named as meninges. This is very important, children, for your IPE and also competitive examinations. What are meninges? The brain covering layers are called as meninges. So there are 3 meninges, or the 3 layers, children. They are dura mater, pia mater, and arachnoid layer. So first, dura mater. When you see the dura mater, so it is a double layered, children. Just see, children, this is the double layered, and it is a very thick membrane. And it is that is, what are the 2 layers? That is we see, that is periosteal layer and meningeal layer. Periosteal layer, that is outer layer, it attaches to the bone, and meningeal layer, which is the innermost layer closer to the brain. So this is the dura mater, children, thick double layer. Next, you see, children, this is the arachnoid matter, or the arachnoid layer. This is a very thin middle membrane. Here, just see, children, in this picture, it is very clear. So it is a spider web-like appearance, and this is the middle layer. Okay. Next, this is the pia mater. So just see, children, this is a very thin innermost membrane closely adhering to the brain, is called as pia mater. And meninges also form 3 spaces between the membranes. They are epidural space, that is present between the dura mater and the vertebral column, and here subarachnoid space. Just see, children, this is very important. Subarachnoid space present between arachnoid and pia mater, and subdural space. When you see here, this is being present between the arachnoid and the pia maters. So children, subarachnoid space is very important. So that is being present between the arachnoid and pia mater. and subdural space present between arachnoid and dura mater, epidural space present between the dura mater and vertebral column in the spinal column. So, dura mater, it is a double layered, thick, and the next middlemost layer, which is a spider web-like appearance, is arachnoid layer, and the innermost layer is a pia mater, which closely adheres to the brain. Yes, children, now we enter into the major parts of the brain. You have learned even in your 10th class, children. Just recall once again. So the major parts of the brain are forebrain, midbrain, hindbrain. Yes, the main parts of the forebrain are olfactory bulb, cerebrum, diencephalon. Next, the parts of the hindbrain are cerebellum, pons varoli, medulla oblongata. And when you see that is the forebrain, brain is also called as encephalon. The other names of forebrain is prosencephalon. The other name of midbrain is mesencephalon. And the other name of hindbrain is rhombencephalon. So the parts of the forebrain are olfactory bulb, cerebrum, and diencephalon. So just see the first part, children, of the forebrain. This is the olfactory bulb. Olfactory, what does it resemble, children? That it is the smell. So olfactory bulb, it is receiving information from the sensory receptors pertaining to the smell. It is bulb shaped, children. Just see, it is a bulb shaped nervous system. It is been present just inferior side of the cerebral hemispheres. Okay, so it receives information from the cells of the nose and send this information to the brain through the olfactory tract. So when the brain receives this information, the olfactory tract, that is, recognize the smell. So olfactory bulb receives impulses pertaining to smell. Okay, so we go to the next part, children, of the forebrain, that is the cerebrum. So just see, children, this is the cerebrum, the major part of our brain. So it is also known as cerebral cortex, which occupies the major part in the human brain. Okay, when you see the outer part of the brain, it is a cerebral cortex, children. And when you see the inner region, it is called as a cerebral medulla. Okay, this cerebrum, this is been known for our thinking and our way of doing works. It is associated with higher brain functions. This cerebrum, when you see, it is undivided in fishes, but it is been divided in the human being. And this cerebrum is divided into two hemispheres, children. That is the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere. And these hemispheres, these are being separated by a line. This is called as longitudinal fissure. Once again, I repeat, children, the cerebrum, which is the major part of the brain, is divided into two parts, right hemisphere and left hemisphere. And here when you see, it is divided by or separated by longitudinal fissure. So here when you see the brain functions, so these are the two hemispheres, children. When you see the functions of the left brain, this has been concerned with analytic thought, logic thinking, language, reasoning, good at science and maths, writing, number skills, and also our right hand control is concerned to the left side of the brain. And when you take the functions of the right brain, it is concerned with art, creativity, imagination, insight, music, and left hand control. Some people have an habit to write with left hand. So this is all connected to our right side of our brain. And here when you see the two sides of the hemispheres. So here when you see the brain is being concerned with the two hemispheres, right hemisphere, left cerebral hemispheres. So this is being divided, children, by a line that is called as longitudinal fissure. So longitudinal fissure separates both right and left cerebral hemispheres. Next, when you take corpus callosum, so this is a hardy bones-like structure, children. This will be connecting the both the cerebral hemispheres internally. Let's see, children, corpus callosum. Yes, corpus callosum. This is a hardy body. This has been present in mammals only. Just see, children, corpus callosum. This is a hardy part. This is a transverse, wide, flat bundle of myelinated fibers. And when you see, it connects both the cerebral hemispheres internally. Okay, so when you see its size, it is nearly 10 centimeters long. And when you see the surface of the cerebral, it is called as cerebral cortex, and it is having several neurons connecting to the various parts of our body. And here when you see, there are several foldings in the cerebral cortex, children. They are called as sulci and gyri. So it is having highly convoluted folds or ridges, children. They are called as gyri. Just see the picture, children. Here, these are the elevated ridges called as gyri. And when you see the deeper grooves, okay, so these are called as sulci. Already we have learned, children, that our brain contains nearly 100 million neurons. So in order to accommodate more neurons and to increase the brain surface area, these foldings and the grooves of gyri and sulci are useful. So once again, children, gyri are the elevations, sulcus are the depressions, and still the deeper grooves are the fissures. So these gyri, sulci, fissures, these are helpful to accommodate more number of neurons in the brain. When you see the cerebral cortex, it is having the cell bodies. The outermost layer, just see, children, here, outermost layer, it is gray in color. So it is called as the gray matter. It consists of cell bodies, dendrites, and unmyelinated axons. Next, beneath the cortex, children, when you see, it is having white matter. It is having long nerve fibers. These are connecting to the brain area. And here it consists of myelinated axons. Once again, I repeat, children, gray matter is present in the cortex region, children. It is having unmyelinated axons. And here it is having the white matter. This is having myelinated axons. So both white matter and gray matters are present in the cerebral cortex. Cerebral cortex is having three functional areas. So they are motor, sensory, and association areas. So motor areas, these control voluntary motor functions, sensory, that is recognition of the stimuli concerned to the sense organs, association, it is an integration of both motor and sensory. Let's see one after the other, children. So here, children, these are the organs, that is the motor area, and here this is the sensory area, children, and here connecting these both is the association area. So sensory area receives the message from the sense organs. Motor area responsible for the action of the voluntary muscles, and integrating the both sensory and motor areas is the association area. Motor area. This is arranged. Just see, children, this is the motor area. Okay, so just see, children, here it is in orange color. So this motor area, it is arranged like a pair of headphones. Across both cortex hemispheres are involved in the control of voluntary movement. So it controls the voluntary movements, children. For example, when you take the example of lifting the weight. So when you have to lift any weight, So that is arm movements, everything is coordinated by the motor area of the brain. Next, when we are eating, that is sending the signals to move our jaws to eat. So this is all concerned to motor area. So motor area controls voluntary movements. Next, sensory area. Sensory area, it is responsible for taste, that is gustatory area, children. That is different types of taste like sweet, sour, bitter, and salt. Visual area, that is vision, seeing. Auditory, that is listening. Olfactory area, that is smelling. So these senses all are being related to the sensory area. Next comes the association area. So it is integrating both motor area and the sensory area. So it makes the sense of the incoming information, children, and also associates them by the word. So this is the association area, children, integrating both the motor and the sensory areas. So forebrain, every hemisphere is divided into 4 lobes. They are frontal lobe, parietal lobe, temporal lobe, and occipital lobe. Just see, children, frontal lobe, this is the major part. And the next is the parietal lobe, just the back side of the skull region, children. Temporal lobe, just underneath the ear. And very small part is the occipital lobe. First one, frontal lobe. Here, frontal lobe. This is the largest lobe, children, extending from the front side of the brain, almost half, that is towards the back of the brain. It will be extending, that is the frontal lobe. Then what is the function of the frontal lobe? So it is concerned with involuntary and voluntary actions. For example, our emotions, our way of behaving, our way of judging the things, planning, or solving the problem is concerned with the frontal area. Even the way we speak, the way we write is all concerned to the frontal lobe. So the speaking is all called as Broca's area. This is very important, children. That is, speaking is Broca's area. Our body movement, coordination of movements, intelligence are all concerned with the frontal lobe. Next comes the parietal lobe. So here, just say, children, this is just towards the back side of the skull. That is behind the frontal lobe is the parietal lobe. It interprets the language, words, the sense of the touch, pain, and temperature, and also interprets the signals from vision, hearing, motor, sensory, and memory. So it is concerned with spatial and visual perception. Next is the occipital lobe, children. Just see the occipital lobe, a very smallest one, posterior to the temporal lobe. Okay, so this is a center for our visual perception. Whether it might be a color, light, or movement, whatever it is, children, our visual perception is due to the occipital lobe. Means it processes and interprets everything what we see. Next is the temporal lobe. Temporal lobe. So it sits behind the ears. This is the second largest one. And when you see, this is the understanding language. That is called as Vernix Area. That is the way of understanding the language. So this has been named after the scientist, that is Carl Vernix. So it is called as Vernix Area. Okay, so children, just recall, that is Vernix area is understanding a language and memorizing, hearing, sequencing, and organizing. Everything is concerned with the temporal lobe. Then that is Vernix aphasia. That is difficulty, that is in processing of speaking the word. Some feel difficulty in speaking or difficulty in understanding the language, and they cannot give a clear cut meaning or they cannot understand what the other person is speaking. So that condition is called as Vernix aphasia. So we come to the third part, children, of the forebrain. First part is olfactory bulb. Second part is cerebrum. Third part is diencephalon. So diencephalon, this is the caudal part of the forebrain. This is visible from the inferior side of the brain, occupies the central region, and it is filled with cerebrospinal fluid. This diencephalon is differentiated into epithalamus, thalamus, hypothalamus. Epithalamus. Just see, children, this is the epithalamus part. This is the roof or a small region of diencephalon. It connects the limbic system to the other part of the brain. When you see the important parts of the epithalamus, they are choroid plexus. Just see, children, here, this is the red area. This is the choroid plexus. And when you see, it is also having, that is pineal gland. Just see, children, this is a small, very small nut-like structure or a pea-shaped gland, which is present in the deeper core of the brain, is called as pineal gland, present in the epithalamus. Okay, so pineal gland is also called as the third eye or seat of the soul. So what does it do? It receives the information about light dark cycles from the environment, and also it convey information to produce and secrete the hormone melatonin to regulate circadian rhythms. Children, what is melatonin? So melatonin, that is more melatonin, this hormone is being secreted during the night time. That is, we get a very good sleep if this melatonin is being properly secreted in the brain. Next, we go to the next part, that is the thalamus. So see, children, this is the thalamus part. 80% of the diencephalon is comprised of the thalamus. It is situated at the core of the diencephalon, and it is the center for relay sensory and motor information to the cerebrum. It is also concerned to relay the nerve impulses to and from the different areas of the cerebrum. Okay, so children, what happens if the thalamus is damaged then? So if the thalamus is damaged, it causes movement disorders and also lack of movement. Next, we move to the, this is thalamus, children. That is a center for sensory and motor signaling. We move to the next part, hypothalamus, which is a master nerve control center. It is located at the base of the brain or base of the thalamus. Okay, so just see, children, this is the hypothalamus part. This is being connected by the funnel-shaped infundibulum, and it connects to the pituitary gland. This is a master gland, and so it is also called as neuroendocrine structure. It secretes different types of cells like hypothalamic hormones, releasing hormones which stimulate the secretions of pituitary hormone, and inhibiting hormones which inhibit the secretions of pituitary. So here, children, here anterior pituitary, posterior pituitary. So here it is being connected by hypophyseal portal system. So here the hypothalamus, it will be secreting different types of hormones like growth hormone, adenocorticotropic hormone, thyroid stimulating hormone, gonadotropic hormone, melanocyte stimulating hormone, prolactin, oxytocin, antidiuretic hormones. So these are all been concerned with hypothalamus. And when you see growth hormone, so here if it is a stimulating hormone, it stimulates the growth factor, and if it is an inhibiting factor, the growth hormone is being inhibited. So in this way, all are being concerned with the hypothalamus, children. So here when you see hypothalamus, it integrates the activities of autonomous nervous system, that is the heart, foot movements, contractions of the bladder, and also it produces hormones, emotions, behaviors like aggression, pain, pleasure, sexual arousal. It regulates eating and drinking, and also thermoregulatory function, that is controlling of body temperature. Everything is concerned with hypothalamus. Next comes limbic system. Limbic system, it includes the structures between, that is the cerebral cortex and the thalamus. So this is the arc-like structure, children, between the thalamus and the cerebrum. This is called as limbic system. So the major components of the limbic system are hypothalamus, thalamus, hippocampus, amygdala, and pineal gland. So limbic system is also called as emotional brain, children. It is concerned with the emotions like anger, fear, happiness, etc. Here when you see, children, this is the hippocampus. It is critical for acquiring new memories and consolidated short memory into the long-term memory. Next, when you take, this is the amygdala, children. This amygdala, this is crucial for fear memories. It plays an important role in aggression, eating, drinking, and also sexual behaviors. So this is the limbic system, children. So this has been present between the cerebral cortex and the thalamus, which is concerned with emotions, learning, memory, and also fear. So children, till now we have learned about the forebrain. Now we enter into the midbrain, which is also called as mesencephalon. Where is it located? It is been present between the thalamus or hypothalamus of the forebrain and the pons varoli of the hindbrain. Okay, so this is the very smallest of the three regions of the brain stem, children, and it is 2 centimeters in length. And here, when you see the anterior part, it is having cerebral peduncles. Just see in the picture, children, notice cerebral peduncles. Cerebral peduncles, these are the structures in front of the midbrain which arise from pons and contain sensory and motor nerve tracts. They run to form to and from the cerebrum from the pons. So they conduct nerve impulses. What is the function of cerebral peduncles, children? They conduct nerve impulses. Yes, there is the posterior part of the midbrain. Here it consists of a tectum. This is the tectum, children. It is having 4 rounded elevations. So the upper elevations, these are superior colliculi, and the lower, these are inferior colliculi. Superior colliculi, these are being concerned with the reflex centers of vision and reflexes. Next, inferior colliculi, these are being connected with hearing and startle reflex, means surprise, shock. Everything are being concerned with inferior colliculi. Next, here, this, see children, these are the 4 lobes of the tectums. Upper one superior and the lower one are inferior colliculi. Next, it is also having 4 rounded lobes, children, that is corpora quadrigemina. So these are 4 rounded lobes, children. The uppermost 2, these are larger optic lobes called as superior colliculi, and the lowermost one, posterior lobes, these are smaller in size called as inferior colliculi. Both superior colliculi and inferior colliculi, these are being concerned with visual and auditory functions. So these coordinate, that is eye movement with the visual stimuli, and also coordinate head movement with the auditory stimuli. So just see children, these are the colliculi, inferior colliculi, superior colliculi. And now we enter into the hindbrain, children. Hindbrain, this is the third part of the brain, hindbrain. So the main parts of the hindbrain are cerebellum, pons varoli, medulla oblongata. Let's see the first part of the hindbrain, children, cerebellum. So just see the picture. This is cerebellum, also called as the little brain. This is the second largest part of the brain. What is the first largest part, children? The first largest part is the cerebrum. Okay, so this is the cerebrum. And here, hindbrain first part is the cerebellum, which is the second largest part. Where is it located? It is located at the back of the brain, and among the 100 billion neurons, 50% of the total neurons are present in the cerebellum. Okay, so here cerebellum is also divided into two hemispheres, children, and it is being divided by vermis. So just recall, children, cerebrum is also divided into two hemispheres, right and left, separated by a longitudinal fissure. Likewise, here cerebellum is also divided into two lateral hemispheres. This is being connected by vermis. So each cerebral hemisphere consists of three lobes. They are anterior, posterior, and floccular lobes. Okay, so here when you see, it is having the white matter, children. It is the white matter of the cerebellum. This is the tree-like appearance, children. This is arbor vitae. Arbor vitae is the tree of life. As it is tree-like appearance, it is being given the name, children, arbor vitae. So this is the central core of the white matter. And when you see the surface sheath of it is the gray matter, which is called as cerebellar cortex. So both are concerned with sensory and motor sensations to and from cerebellum. When you see the functions of the hindbrain, so this is responsible for control and coordination of locomotor movements. It is a gyroscope of the brain, children. It maintains equilibrium, balance, and also the posture of our body. What happens when the cerebellum is damaged? It leads to ataxia. Ataxia is not a disease, children. It is a symptom. So this is the scan of the ataxia person, children. So ataxia is a poor coordination of the movement. Means he is unable to walk steadily, and it affects the coordination of fingers, arms, speech, and eye movements. We go to the next part of the hindbrain, children. It is pons varoli. So this is the pons varoli, children, the largest part of the brain stem. It is nearly 2.5 centimeters, located below the midbrain and above the medulla. It connects the different areas of the brain. Pons means bridge, means it bridges between the two cerebral hemispheres. Okay, so here when you see, it is a relay station between the cerebellum, spinal cord, and the rest of the brain, and also a pneumotaxic area which is regulating the respiration. Next, we go to the third part, medulla oblongata. So this is the medulla oblongata, children, the posterior most part of the brain. It extends from pons varoli above, children. So from the above, that is pons varoli, and this medulla continue with the spinal cord below. So it looks like a rounded bulge, children. It has been present in front of the cerebellum, and only 0.5% of the total weight of the brain is the medulla oblongata. Though it is weighing very less, but still it is very, very important. It regulates involuntary processes like might be the heartbeat, blood pressure, our breathing, etc. All are being regulated by the medulla oblongata. Without medulla oblongata, we cannot live. So over here, when you see, medulla oblongata plays an important vital role for us to live. Brain stem. So children, that is brain stem, it is a combination of midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata. So these three comprise of the brainstem. Superiorly, it has been connecting with the forebrain. Inferiorly, it is connecting with the spinal cord. And hindbrain, it is also consisting of pia mater, and also it forms posterior choroid plexus. Just recall, children, we have learned in the forebrain, the part of the diencephalon, it is having anterior choroid plexus. Okay, so here in the hindbrain, it is having in the medulla oblongata, children, here it is having posterior choroid plexus. So posterior choroid plexus produces cerebrospinal fluid, and it relays nerve signals between brain and spinal cord. It is an important control centers. It regulates the heartbeat, controls blood pressure, controls the rhythm of the breath. It is also a reflex center, children, for our breathing, for swallowing, vomiting, coughing, sneezing, hiccups, etc. So this is a respiratory and also a various reflex centers which plays an important role. So this will be relaying the nerve signals between the brain and the spinal cord. So this is foramen magnum, children, a hole. It has been passing out of the cranium. So this joins the spinal cord. So what is brainstem, children? Once again, it is a combination of midbrain, pons, and medulla. These three parts comprise of the brain stem. Just see in this picture, children, here the midbrain, pons, and medulla. These three combine to form brain stem. So suppose any person meets with a drastic accident, and if the brain stem is damaged, okay, brain will automatically die. So brainstem is very, very important for a person to live. Next comes ventricles. Brain is being bathed by cerebrospinal fluid. Inside the brain, when you see, they are spaces, children. These are called as the ventricles, filled with cerebrospinal fluid. There are 4 ventricles, children. 2 lateral ventricles called as paracele, and here third ventricle called as diacele, present in the diencephalon. And next, this is the fourth ventricle called as myelocele, present between pons, medulla, and the cerebellum. So, 2 paroceles, they are connected to the diacele, that is by the foramen of Monro, that is interventricular foramen, and the fourth ventricle connected by the medulla, and in between the third and the fourth ventricle, just see, children, that is the myelocele and the diacele, it is being connected by cerebral aqueduct, also called as aqueduct of Sylvius. So over here there are 4 ventricles, children. 2 lateral ventricles present in the brain hemisphere. Just see, children, third ventricle present in the diencephalon, and the fourth ventricle, this has been present in the medulla region. So here, this is a clear-cut picture of the ventricles, children. 2 lateral ventricles, third ventricle, fourth ventricle. Okay, so the 2 lateral ventricles present between cerebral hemispheres. Third ventricle, also called as diocele, present in the diencephalon. Fourth ventricle, called as myelocele, present between the pons, medulla, and the cerebellum part. Cerebrospinal fluid. Fluid inside, it is a fluid present inside the brain, which is present in the ventricle region, children, and also outside the brain, that is found in the arachnoid spaces. So it is the cerebrospinal fluid is present in the ventricles of brain and also subarachnoid space. Okay, so here it is been preventing the brain from collapsing on itself. So it is a shock absorbing medium. So cerebrospinal fluid. So brain recycles 4 times every day to clear out the metabolites and toxins. So it is acting as a shock absorber or shock absorbing medium. It plays a vital role to clear out all the toxins in our body. So this is the flow of the cerebrospinal fluid, children. And next, when you see, when you do not take care of our brain, there is a higher risk of the fall of the brain, and this it will lead to drastic or worst outcomes. Let's see to the various brain disorders or the diseases. So, children, the brain disorders in that first one is Alzheimer's disease, AD. So, degeneration of the brain. Degenerative brain disorder or a common form of dementia is called as Alzheimer's disease. So this occurs, children, mainly in the late middle age or in the old age people when the neurons are being lost. It leads to the Alzheimer's disease. So this leads to the memory loss, impaired thinking, and if it is drastic, it leads to the death. Next, here, this person's Alzheimer's disease people, they are having sleeping disorders. They cannot get sleep, or if they get sleep also, they get in the late night hours. Next disease is meningitis. What is meninges? This is a protective tissue layers between the skull and the brain. You have learned, children, the meninges layers also. So inflammation in the meninges layers, it leads to a disease called as meningitis. Just see the picture, children. So here, the inflammation of the meninges layer leads to a disease called as meningitis. So it is being caused by bacteria, a virus, and also certain drugs. Next disease concerning to the brain is Parkinson's disease. So this has been invented by James Parkinson in the year 1817. So after him, it has been identified as Parkinson's disease, children. Here, when you see mostly men above 60, these are prone to the disease. Here, the dopamine cells are damaged, and this has been seen even in the famous boxer, that is Muhammad Ali, suffered from this disease. Here, when the dopamine cells are damaged, it leads to the muscular rigidity and postural instability. So just see, children, here after 60 years, it is mainly men, they get bend. Okay, so they are bending, and the postural instability we notice, it is called as Parkinson's disease. And also Parkinson's disease, it is also due to repeated strokes or repeated head injuries leads to the Parkinson's disease. Next one is the brain stroke, children, also called as cerebrovascular accident, CVA. When the blood supply to the brain is disrupted or disturbed, the brain cells die. This is called as brain stroke. Then who will suffer from the brain stroke, children? So the people who are having hypertension, means high BP, who are taking alcohol, alcoholic, who are fat, obesity, and who are smokers and are having heart disease and who are not having proper sleep, sleep apnea, they get brain stroke very easily. Next one is ischemia stroke. So here, inability of the blood supply to the brain is called as ischemic stroke. And here they will have a double vision and there is no proper blood supply. So they suffer from numbness, and they also suffer from non-fluent aphasia, means inability to understand. Okay, and next one is global aphasia, inability to speak. Then we have to always take care of our brain, otherwise it leads to the brain disorders. Then why brain disorders? Children, brain disorders are due to smoking, and also due to the overstress, you are unable to maintain it properly, and also due to the junk food you are taking or the poor diet, all lead to the brain disorders. So it is our prior duty to take care of our brain. So that is nearly 6 to 8 hours of deep sleep and doing yoga, doing physical exercise, taking good nutritious diet. This all will protect our brain from disorders. And you have already learned, children, in the applied biology, that is the electrical activity of the brain. This is being read by electroencephalography, that is called as EEG. That is, electrodes are being connected to the brain, that is to learn about the different waves in the brain, that is alpha, beta, theta, and delta. They say about the brain condition, if there are any diseases. Yes, what are the healthy living tips to improve the brain? Yes, children, everyone have to do morning exercise at least for 30 minutes compulsorily, and also have a deep sleep, and also good memory boosting foods like avocado, apple, dark chocolates, and also the foods like that is soya bean, and also leafy vegetables, and salmon fish. These are rich in vitamin B, B12, and these will be boosting our brain. And sometimes in severe accidents, we see doctors say the person's brain is dead. Okay, but still, children, there is a chance of donating their organs to the others. So always donate the organs which gives life to the others. Algar mortis. This is cooling or the reduction in the body temperature. This is an indication of a death. World Brain Day. This is being celebrated every year, children. And right now in the 2021, it has been on July 22nd. Then why are all these days celebrated? So as all organs are important, the government is prioritizing to celebrate, to say the importance of the various organs of our body. So children, let's recap what we have learned. Cranial meninges. So children, we have learned about the cranial meninges. So there are three cranial meninges, children. That is dura mater, arachnoid mater, pia mater. Okay, dura mater a double layered, children, arachnoid matter, and the pia mater the innermost layer. And next there are the three parts of the brain: forebrain, midbrain, hindbrain. Forebrain, it is having the corpus callosum connecting the both the hemispheres, and also the foldings gyri and sulci, and it is also having the cerebral cortex functional areas. And we find the midbrain, it is having cerebral peduncles, children. And we also have learned about the hindbrain, that is cerebellum, which is the very little brain. And we also learned about arbor vitae. Arbor vitae, that is a tree-like appearance. And we also learned about the brain stem, that is the combination of midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata. And also we have learned about the four ventricles, that is two lateral ventricles, and also the third ventricle, that is arising from the diencephalon, fourth ventricle arising, that is from the pons, medulla, and the cerebellum, and also cerebrospinal fluid, which is acting as a shock absorber. So children, let's have a small assignment. Name the cranial meninges covering the brain of man. What is corpus callosum? What do you know about arbor vitae? Give a brief account of the structure and the functions of the brain of a man. So these are the various attributes, children, which I have taken. I thank Satyanarayan Reddy sir, additional director, Sir Rajiv, joint director sir, my principal, and all the principals and the coordinators, Vijayalakshmi madam, Shailaja madam, and also the whole webinar team. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for giving me this opportunity, madams.
Yeah, thank you, madam. It was a very good session. Children, please write the notes because like physically also the classes may start. But this YouTube channel is will be always available for you whenever you want. You can revisit the channel and excellent explanation was given by Prashanti madam. Please do write the notes along with the ma'am's teaching so that you'll get definitely you'll be benefited. Thank you, madam. Again, we'll meet with the next session.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam. Madam, can I leave, madam?
You can leave, ma'am.